Mental Ray in 3ds Max gives you several different methods for calculating the behavior of the sky. The first thing you need to remember about the sky is that it doesn't work if Final Gather is turned off. So if Final Gather is turned off, the sky is not going to contribute anything to the scene. On the right here, you'll see a rendering with Final Gather turned off and on. Also note that I've changed the time of day here and the exposure because this will be a little bit better example of how the sky models work. So with the daylight head selected, in the Modify panel, you'll see the MR Sky parameters rollout. And here you can choose different sky models. The default is haze driven, and it derives its intensity from the MR Physical Sky Environment map that we saw earlier. So we don't really have much control over what it does other than to adjust the amount of haze. Well, if we want to actually plug in a value for the brightness of the sky, then we would need to use one of these other sky models. Perez or CIE. Perez, I think, is a little bit better because it pays attention to the color of the haze in the MR Physical Sky Environment map. So let's try Perez. Let me clone this one out. So this is the default haze-driven sky model. And let's do a rendering now with the Perez sky model with default values. And you'll see it's quite dim. There's very little illumination coming from the sky at all. So maybe this is a very cloudy day or almost completely, overcast day where there's almost no light coming through the clouds. Okay, well, that doesn't blend well with the fact that we have sunlight shadows here, so this is not really an accurate result in any way. If we look at the values over here, it turns out that these are really quite low values compared to real-world metrics. So I did a little bit of research online and I experimented with these values until I got something that looks pretty good. And it turns out that this horizontal value should be somewhere more in the range of up to 70,000. I'm going to try something like about 30,000 here. And this direct illuminance can range up to 100,000. But I'm going to set it to, let's say, about 50,000 here. And that's measured in lux. We'll do a rendering, see what we get. So I think that might be a little bit too intense. And again, I can always measure by right-clicking in the rendered frame window and see, yes, am I clipping? Yes, it's clipping. I'm getting a little bit too much there. So I'll just come back a little bit, knock that down a little bit, and try again. If you do know the actual values of the sky's illuminance at a certain location, then you can plug those in directly here and get photometrically accurate results. So here we go. On the left we have the Perez sky model, and on the right we have the haze-driven sky model. And to my eye, actually, I think the Perez sky model looks a little bit better, but of course you've got to work on it a little bit more in order to get good results. There you go. That's how you work with different sky models in Mental Ray.